Show me in Scripture where it says I have to eat beef Wellington.
It's in Second Philippians 5.
In my translation, it does say that.
I just want to go to the elder
It always
retreat.
comes down to your translation, Sean.
Welcome to Tales from the Ditch. We are here. Seth and I are here with... Do you want to introduce yourself?
No,
So you say
because
the name?
you are
No, you-
starting this off on the wrong
I
foot
don't wanna...
with your sass and your defiance. You're anti-establishment. We get it. You're more anti-establishment than I am.
Which is
Like,
okay.
Which is
anti-
okay. I don't know.
I have a hard time trusting. That's all.
Trusting
Who
the Bible.
hurt you? Who did this to you?
Who hurt you?
I gotta admit, I'm a little distracted because I watched some John Mulaney sketches today and I thought they were hilarious. And I
So
can't say
good.
any of them. So Tales from the Ditch, the podcast where Sean just coined a term inside called angridoxy. We're angry but orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
But Sean doesn't want to use the term, so I'm going to use it. Can I steal that term?
It's all yours.
I'm going to use it in a sermon that 4 people will download big time. I don't mean to brag, but
4 listeners can't be wrong.
I'm all 2 likes. All right. Tales from the Ditch. If you're just joining us, shame on you. You're probably listening to some cooking podcast or Joe Rogan. But yeah, we just talk about things that I think really only matter to us, but for some reason you all listen.
Yep. We're here today with Michael Cox. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Why are you doing this? Mike, how are you doing? How's your week?
I'm doing well, and it just occurred to me that the last time I was here, Sean made me pee in his backyard because his wife was asleep, and he told me to go out back and pee in the corner.
When was this?
It was a couple of years ago. He said that his toilet was broken.
Yeah.
So I
The
was,
old broken toilet trick, eh?
I was immediately uncomfortable when I got here.
Well, now I put up a bathroom sign, so...
Well, all right. So give us a little. So you're from our church. What's your position or role at our church?
So I'm on staff there as the designer and artist, and yeah.
And you're a pastor in training.
Yep.
You have a kid on the way, Mazel Tov,
Yep.
as they say in Australia.
Yeah, May 30th.
The brass taxes.
You have been going to school for some sort of degree?
Yeah, a bachelor's in Bible and Theology.
How's that going?
It's good.
Okay. What year are you in?
I don't know, man. I'm like in my 4th year, but I only take pretty much 2 classes a semester, so
Okay.
I've got about 4 more years to go.
I,
If I decide to go back.
fun fact, went to college for 8 years,
Amazing.
and I do
Double.
not have a degree.
Double bachelor's.
That's
Have you heard
gonna
of that?
that's gonna be me, yeah, for sure.
Are you in class with Dupree? Or
Uh,
is he a senior citizen class? Is that different? Is that different? Do they? I wasn't sure if they divided that up.
you know, he actually taught one class, not the whole semester, but he taught a class, and he just laughed a lot, and it was good.
That guy, yeah.
I learned how to smile, so
Now,
which I'm not good at. So
well, you have that menacing smile, like, you know, the Russian mafia when they know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the nicest
you're
thing
like
you've
this.
said to me.
What now? All right. Now this is kind of interesting because Sean knew you a little bit this way too. How did you first get to know me, Mike? How did we become acquaintances? Because I remember meeting you at the mall. You were like 15 or 16, something?
You're gonna have to fill in some of the blanks there, because
Because of concussions?
Yeah, because there's a lot missing there.
Our friend Nando
Nando.
listened to the podcast.
I was right, yeah.
And he was upset that a certain band would no longer set their goals to come to Reno anymore.
That was entirely Seth's fault.
Yeah.
Does Nando know that?
I told him that.
Excellent.
Nando, dude, I'm partially sorry. I don't think they're that great of a band, but I'm sorry you didn't get to see them more. But yeah, that was 100% me, and they still blame me on Lamb Goat. Talking about that.
Lamb Goat.
Is Lamb Goat still around?
I don't know. They always blame me on that stupid site. Anyway, Mike, yeah, I met you at Melwood Mall when you were 15.
Yeah.
What details can you patch up in there? What organization, gentlemen, were we a part of?
Well, in the former years, we were both straight edge, and
Whoa. Wait a minute. Are you guys telling me the whole time?
Now, Sean, this is a twist of a tale. But yeah, I met you in the straight edge hardcore scene.
Yep.
Were you 15 or 16? What was it?
I must have been 16. I drove myself to the mall. It was great.
Oh.
Okay, because I remember I'm only 3 or 4 years older than you.
How old are you right now?
34.
I'm 31. So.
Okay, yeah, because I know your brother's a year ahead of me, and I'm 2 or 3, and then I know your brother Sean's ahead of Ryan, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's 8 years older than me. So
Great name.
Allegedly.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure.
Maybe I'm kind of curious from
Here's the
your
brass
perspective.
taxes.
Don't get me in trouble.
How would you define straight edge? I know that probably everybody has heard of it and knows what it is, but how would you guys define it from your perspective?
Isn't it weird? Wait, this just occurred to me. What episode is this? 20-something?
25.
And I have not talked about straight edge once. That's interesting.
Yeah, I am actually kind of curious. I mean,
Huh.
I don't want a history of it, but
Nobody does.
I'm just curious.
No one cares.
I'm just curious, like, in your context, when you guys were participating heavily with the straight edge hardcore scene, what do you think now? How would you define straight edge?
Besides a mistake. You start, Mike. I need to. Well, do you want me to stall so you can think?
No, I was
supposed to be a
just
hard
recently talking about this at a bar, ironically.
That's where I have most of my discussions.
Oh,
these
wait.
days.
So you guys are sellouts now, right?
We'd be considered
Yeah,
sellouts. We'd be
technically, yes.
I just want to make that
which
clear.
is that's like a. That is not well.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's not a badge
As
of
you-
honor. I'm
but-
trying to explain that to you. Yeah, it's not a badge of honor.
that's what I'm saying. As you define it,
Right.
Sellout.
you're defining it from the
You
perspective of
sold out your
sellouts.
beliefs. You, if you even once drink, you're not straight edge anymore. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I would say, man, looking at it from, the perspective that I now have, straight edge is part philosophy, part commitment, part lifestyle. I don't know. It's very bizarre because it seems inflexible in some ways and very flexible in other ways. But I guess it's a personal decision to live your life without drugs or alcohol.
Complete abstinence from any substances like that. But then you get into debates. And I know Mike will remember this. Like, okay, well, can you take painkillers when you have surgery?
Right.
So that was debated. Then it was, well,
What about the third X?
Sexual purity
that was another
as well.
That was another one that was debated. Was like, well, do you have to be abstinent sexually? Another one was veganism because people said, well, the way food is processed, the meat, that could be bad to your body. Then it was like, well, what if you just eat unhealthy?
Yeah.
It got, and then you got into, a lot of fine, but the main thing was like, all right, no, drinking, smoking, drugs, the main thing. You could debate the other ones, but that was like the main one I think everyone agreed on. Like
Right.
you can't do that. And yeah, if you did even once, it's your call to sell out. Mike and I would be seen as a sellout, which it just doesn't have the same power to me it used to, but
Yeah. And I think early on, more so than, when Seth and I were involved, it was more of a kind of almost a brotherhood. I think it lost a lot of that later on. But I think part of the appeal to me personally was, I think looking back, I was very fearful a lot of the time. And I found a bunch of guys who were just as angry as me, just as, I don't know, renegade as me. And there was camaraderie there, you know. And I just have it.
Brotherhood.
Right, yeah.
Well, and it's like, yeah, just especially so if you have guys who you think are tough and they're older and they got tattoos, they kind of have this like air about them, and then they're telling you you're tough. I don't know. There was just so much to get caught up in because there was a purpose, there was a cause. You'd always be fighting someone. There'd always be someone you were against. You'd always have guys who were older, like pumping you up, pouring into you, telling, you know, you can do us, like we're the language. If you look at the language, it's family.
True till death.
True till death. We're a family. We're brothers. It's a brotherhood. Very relational, very community oriented, we're connected. This familial language. Even, and if you listen to some of the language, also you see a lot of victory and triumph language.
Yeah.
Because
overcoming struggles.
Overcoming. We're going to win. We'll push them back. We'll overcome. We'll fight. We'll do this. Whereas my friends who are more into like goth or punk, I sometimes felt like it was a lot of victim mentality of, well, the world sucks, I'll get mad. But I didn't see a lot of action. Whereas this was, no, if you feel victimized, you go and hit them with a bat. So there's a lot of, so it's interesting. There was triumph language, there was familial language, and it was all to unite. And when you have a common enemy and you fight next to each other, that unites you too.
But see, that's where it gets murky because there is no straight edge isn't set up, you know, in and of itself with enemies. You make the enemies, right? People who are straight edge make enemies, and then because you're straight edge, I'm gonna fight alongside you. And
right, you're separating. The whole goal is for you to separate, right?
From the dominant culture, from dominant society, right?
Yeah, you're separating the violence and potentially gang activity type of stuff.
Juggalos,
that happens later.
That's kind of a juggalos are
common enemy.
Yeah, but I think
that's kind of a similar.
They're a common
parallel,
enemy of humanity, though. I feel like that's like not just straight edge. That's everyone.
Okay,
talks
can I ask
trash
you something?
Go ahead.
Seth, I thought you brought up something important.
Yeah.
You and I started in, I guess, I don't know what you call it, the alternative scene or whatever, as punk kids.
Yeah.
And it started out kind of as a kind of soft, we had like gateway punk, like Offspring and Green Day and things like that. And eventually wanted something a little more, things seemed more meaningful when they had more of a hard edge. And so
yeah,
it gets more and more and more, I don't want to say the music got harder because I still love soft, goofy punk, but
not me.
At some point, you don't like the ska? You don't like the skanking and all
never.
With the dancing and the trumpets.
At some point, when you're saying this is a lifestyle, you need something with a little more foundation than just goofy, fun-loving music.
Yeah.
And when you're picking something that at the time I think you think is going to be your life's goal, like you said, Seth, you wanted something that was less of a victimized, less of a...
I didn't want to just complain. I wanted to fight back.
Yeah, you wanted to actually overcome or triumph or whatever.
All right, so here's the thing. All right, because this is a question for Mike, and I actually want to get into a subject which I know Mike will not want to talk about, which is theology. So last question for this. All right. And here's how I'm going to frame it, because I think some people don't get it. Okay. So many people read Lord of the Rings and stuff, and it all sounds great. They're like, oh, they're on this adventure, and it's so crazy.
Right.
But if you were really living it, running for miles on end, not sleeping, in the rain, starving, and every day wondering if someone's going to kill you, if you were actually in the experience, you'd go, this isn't that fun. I'm fighting for my life. Like, it's not as cool as I thought. It'd be exciting, but you'd be stressed. You'd be broken. Like the end of Return of the King, Frodo and Sam are just like busted up, like bleeding. So it's this grass is always greener. It's this, oh, if I could just do this. With what you and I were doing, I think sometimes there might be the idea of like, oh, they were getting in fights and doing this. It's so exciting. But I remember visiting you in the hospital.
Yep.
Because you had concussion. And then you have hospital bills. Mm-hmm. Is it urgent care? Is it ER? Are the guys coming back? Did we know who it was? Are they guys who go to my school? Are they guys I'm going to be walking down the street and they recognize me and I don't recognize them? Like, I feel like, I feel like either together or you witnessed, at least me and you, were in our fair share of like violent altercations.
Yep.
Some more than others. I'm not going to name names. But looking back now, I mean, I don't see them as glorious. Like, what would you say was kind of the dark side, or what you saw of like, okay, because obviously you're following the gospel now. So obviously straight edge didn't like fulfill its promise or couldn't live up to all your soul desired. What's kind of the dark side of it? What was the downside where you kind of went, man, this isn't like living up to what I need, what my soul needs?
Just there was an overwhelming sense of emptiness and even loneliness, because you're surrounded with a bunch of guys who are on the surface and even maybe down to their core very committed, very loyal, but then you see their willingness to cross lines, cross boundaries. And for me personally, I never I was always afraid. Just growing up, I watched my brother get jumped at 12 years old. So I thought, okay, this is the way the world is. And I need to develop myself so that I can survive. So straight edge was like an avenue for survival. And that's all it was for 10, 12 years, just survival. Always in fight or flight mode, usually fight mode. And I had to develop a reputation, a persona of the crazy one. Cause I wasn't a big dude. I'm not a big dude. I
understand that. Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily tough, but I had to develop this fake Mike who was crazy and violent and willing to do anything. And there was that side of me. Like, I was willing to do stuff, and I did do stuff that is crazy. But on the inside, I'd go home at night and just exactly what you're talking about. Be afraid that, oh my gosh, these guys are going to come back and they're going to hit 10 times harder next time.
Yeah.
Or are the cops coming to my door? Did somebody rat me out?
Yeah.
And
they plus,
always do.
There was just a level of general distrust that I had towards everybody, to where I could not expose these weaker parts of myself. Because the whole movement, the whole social group of straight edge and hardcore is built upon like, yeah, I'm hopeless and lonely inside, but I'm going to keep fighting anyway. And so you can never really expose your inner despair and weakness.
Yeah.
And so I always had to have this front up, I felt like. So, since now knowing that we're made in the image of God, we're relational beings, I rarely ever had genuine relationships, except by God's grace with Seth and like with a couple of other guys. But I think for the most part, man, it was just a lot of hiding, a lot of covering up myself with this veneer of toughness and craziness that I'm still having to like fight against that,
Oh yeah.
Like it built within me a habit of anger and violence that I still have to continuously, even on a weekly basis, say no to, like put it to death.
Was Nando straight edge?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, then I only half apologize. He wasn't.
He just really enjoyed hardcore, I believe.
Do you have any questions for Mike and I on this? I mean, how have we not talked about this? I would have thought we would have brought this up like 20.
I wish it would have been on episode 24. Because then
you wouldn't have to deal with it. I don't think I have any questions for you. I just, I guess what I'm curious about is, because I know you guys.
Yeah.
I know that you are not sitting here saying, oh, there's people that haven't sold out that are still straight edge. I know that you're not saying you're better than them, or you have figured out life more than them, or you're more mature than them, or anything like that.
No.
And so I'm just curious, like, what your definition of straight edge would be, knowing that you're no longer a part of it. However, that doesn't mean you've lost respect for any of the people, or that you are somehow superior to them or anything like that. So I was curious about that. And so that being said, and this is the last thing I want to talk about, I guess, about
last thing, and then 5 more things. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is
Matt Chandler's sermon.
I'm just kind of curious, like, this is a cliche statement, but all of the things that you were looking for, I think, when you became straight edge, like that camaraderie, that brotherhood, loyalty,
butts,
victory,
drugs,
lots.
Carnal satisfaction, whatever it is. Did you find those through the gospel or through whatever transformation has occurred because of the Holy Spirit?
I found what I was really looking for. So I thought it was carnal satisfaction. I thought it was to be the toughest. But there was, all right, I hate quoting this guy because he just is such a doofus to me. Rob Bell. He's always like, what's the question behind the question? And Rob, that's the only time I'm going to quote you other than calling you a heretic. I wasn't looking for carnal satisfaction. I wanted to feel total acceptance and vulnerability and affirmation above what I felt. Fighting, it wasn't just fighting. I wanted a purpose. I wanted a meaning. I wanted something to direct my energy towards. And a crew. And Mike, you don't have to answer. Were you jumped in?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was jumped in, I wasn't looking for just a title. I wanted to belong to a community.
Yep.
So what I was really looking for, yes, I found it. But I also still have to day by day remind myself what I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
Because I still think it's some cheap answer, even though it's shown me that it was never enough. It's never been enough. Here's the one thing, gosh, I say this because I love these guys so much. They could never bring me peace. They could offer me war. They could offer me someone to fight. But like, I could never, my soul, feel this restful peace about who I was.
Yeah.
Because if you think of it, straight edge is very much a works-based philosophy. Constantly proving yourself, constantly reaffirming your identity, because every day your actions define if you are straight edge.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting, it's tiring. I remember, gosh, I haven't even said this to a lot of people. I remember one night, I was so mad at myself because in a fight, I didn't fight as hard as I, wanted to. And I was alone in my apartment too, and thinking about how I wasn't married, I don't have a kid, I have barely any money. And I remember I was just thinking, I had my Desert Eagle, my 40 cal, was just toying with putting it in my mouth. Just because I remember I did and then stopped, but I'm going, what am I doing? I'm going to be in prison or I'm going to be dead. None of my desires have been met. Because you can't sleep around enough to fulfill it. You can't fight enough. Because here's the thing too, fighting, there's always someone new.
Yeah.
There's always someone tougher. Sleeping around, there's always a new girl. But it's I was just so broken and so just, even, with issues with my dad and so many things where I'm I just don't want to feel how I feel. And the only time I didn't feel that way was fighting or, some intimate encounter. I think I'm being generous calling it intimate, but some sexual encounter or fighting. But it never lasted. Because that's what I loved about fighting was when I fought and blacked out, I didn't feel anything. I didn't want to be me. I didn't like being me. So I think that here's the thing, and I want to write a book about this, no joke. I think we can look at every style of music and learn something. Punk pushes back against excess and corruption of look at the brokenness in systems. Rap and hip hop talks about, a people and how they've risen up and, dignity and poetry through this almost defiant rhyme. Hardcore. All these have it. There are things I was searching for in hardcore that what I was searching for wasn't bad, but it went sideways.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The problem really isn't hardcore. It's me. Hardcore, it's just music. It's a style. It was a culture formed by people who don't follow God. And I was expecting it to fulfill something that it never could.
Right.
It's crazy. And it's funny. And I blame hardcore, but really hardcore is looking at me going, hey, I'm just a music style. I'm a philosophy written by broken people. And you're expecting me to be heaven. I was what was wrong. I was one expecting it to fix me when really it's it never could. I was putting a burden on it, never could. Now, don't get me wrong. There's things that are sinful and wrong that happen there. But it was a system written by broken people, and I was expecting it to be heaven.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be me anymore. I didn't want to be this broken, pathetic, depressed person who, isn't noticed. Like when I walked into a concert, people would look at me and talk to me. They wanted to be my friend. And I felt like, I mattered for a heartbeat, So the definition didn't change. I'm looking at the meaning going, yeah, but the definition is the same. I go, yeah, you abstain, you separate, blah, blah, blah. But my perspective's changed where I'm going, abstaining isn't all, that life's about. Separating from society isn't all that life's about. Being pure and fighting isn't all that life's about. So my definition hasn't changed. It's just my value of the definition. I go, well, it's like we have our country, I'm sorry, but it's terrible with masculinity. So we have lost men looking for a war, looking for a fight, and then we get mad at them when they fight one. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
There are things to fight against.
And it's weird because I'm just so glad that finally the answer to all my hopes and fears, Donald Trump is in office. Because it's just...
Oh, yeah.
It's fixed everything.
Thanks
The wall's up. We're good. We've stopped all terrorists. The economy's good. There's no investigations. The FBI's fine. Continue, Sean. What were you saying?
I want to read your book whenever you make it, but I like that you brought up
I'm also writing
heaven.
a child's book with magic and fighting.
Co-written by Maverick.
Co-written forward by Rob Bell saying, I don't agree with this book. It bashes me from chapter 1.
I just like that you brought up heaven. The reason I'm curious about this is because I've talked about my previous lifestyle, which was very similar to your guys' previous. I was never straight edge, but I always hung out.
You hung out with us.
We were all...
You were down.
I was down
Sean
for most
Moss,
of the
downtown
stuff.
Brown.
You guys
Sean
crossed some lines that I was unwilling to cross.
Well, you were
But,
there.
I've done worse
You
things.
approved of the line crossings.
I approved
Did
of it,
you
but I
have a
didn't
fighting
cross it
ring with
myself.
special ed kids?
Let's stay on point here.
Did you try
The
to
point is-
drown Matt?
Let's stay on point here. But somebody has said to me, they go, hey, now that you're a Christian, did it fulfill all of these things that you're talking about?
When you say it, do you mean did Christianity fulfill that?
Did Christianity, did understanding the gospel, did the Holy Spirit indwelling me, or I'm not 100%. They didn't know what they meant because they're not a Christian.
Are we supposed to be 100% fulfilled?
And that's why I think, that's why I think it's good that you bring up heaven, because my honest answer has been no.
Absolutely. It's
I
even
have
harder.
a hope. I have a hope for
I'm
that.
not completely fulfilled. Let me clarify that.
Yeah.
I'm a whiny little butt sometimes, but
And you're not-
sorry to use harsh language.
And you're
Brass
not,
tacks.
and so like,
Repent.
if you approach somebody from your old lifestyle, you're not saying, hey, I found something that does fulfill all of those things.
No.
You're saying, I found something that has a promise to fulfill all of those things.
It's a radical transformation in your outlook on existence and on yourself and on reality. And, Seth's talking about like he was longing for all this stuff. I think I gave up all longing. I just wanted to survive the next day and not kill myself. But
straight edge.
Yeah. So for me, it was just I didn't choose to be a Christian. I chose to be straight edge. I didn't choose to be a Christian. Yeah. That literally came upon me one day, and I literally felt my desires and my mindset change.
So crazy.
It was insane, and I couldn't go back on that. What am I going to do? Like, I'm not the one who changed me. I got changed.
That? Yeah.
Right. But that said, of course I still wake up with this habitual thinking that, oh, life sucks. And I have to say, oh, wait, no, it doesn't, because God has told me this. And now that God has saved me and transformed me, and now I have a relationship with him, I believe him because I know who he is.
Right.
I know his character. I know what he's already done for me. So I don't have to trust my own habitual thinking that I developed over the last decade or so.
Right.
I can trust what he's written down in Scripture.
I got a call in Dubai. Oh, I called Mike from Dubai to hear that he was a Christian.
Yeah, that was crazy, right? Yeah, it was wild. I remember...
It was instant.
I think I saw you a little after that happened at a bar. And I was like, oh, it was like Blind Onion, I think.
That's hilarious.
I was like, hey, I heard all this stuff. And you were like, yep, it's real. And I was like, obviously, you're at a bar.
Maybe he's just hanging out with Mikey Hood.
That's the mark.
Yeah, that was it. It was crazy, though. I mean, and that was amazing transformation. Like, for you, it was one of those all on the road to Damascus types of things.
Right. Just dramatic.
But I just think it's good. Like, we have a hope now that in God's plan and at the end of it, well, not the end of the story, but the end of the story of the fallen earth, that we will be fulfilled
after the rapture and tribulation.
Things. After, and
the Jews, God's chosen children.
Jesus' second coming before his third.
Let me register my sigh and all of that.
Okay.
Let the record show. So, Mike, let me pick your brain. Let's get down to brass taxes. All right. So, theology, I feel like you have appreciation for it.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
So, if someone asked what's important about theology, or maybe even this, what do you love about it? What would you say? So, feel free to take as long as you want, answer in 5 seconds. Brought to you by Fireproofing Your Marriage, Fireproof 9, and
Prayer of Jabez. Annual conference in Bermuda.
Facing Your Giants 3, the gianting, the Nephiliming, Angradoxy. Take that, MacArthur.
Oh, man.
Your rapture butt. Huh? Gonna fly up into heaven? Huh? Whitey? Take that.
Whitey.
We're gonna.
What was the question?
Nando, I'm sorry about set your goals. I can't change the past, though, bro. Gosh. Shout out to Jason Bennett and Baruch Torres of Reno Judo Club. Jason Bennett is not part of Reno Judo Club. I just like him. And we smoke cigarettes together. But Baruch Torres, Reno Judo Club. My man, you love this community. We love you. Shout out. Yeah. Mike, I've bought you time. Theology.
What do you love about theology?
What do I have no idea what I love about theology. It's just, but why it's important? Well, what you think about God is the most important thing.
Who said that?
I stole that from Tozer. A.W. Tozer.
We should have a band called Bulltozer X. X-American History X.
Bulltozer would be
Bulltozer.
so awesome.
Has him X'd up. He's all, halfway Arminianism, fool.
My wife hates me.
Not a good husband, no.
Really?
So, all right.
Yeah, Tozer was like a pretty crappy husband.
That's what we hear.
I don't know anything about him. I read
I
one of his
there.
books.
And Edwards hated.
I was his wife.
Edwards hated people who weren't the shade of the moon. So, all right. So, why do you think theology is so important? You said it's the most important thing about you. Why?
Because God is real, and we have obligations to Him as our Creator, and that's why we owe everything to Him.
Can you, and because I do sometimes with sermons, if someone was brand new, can you break down what is theology? Because you have so ology is always a study of, because you have biology.
The study of God.
There you go.
The study of God, the study of the things of God. Yeah. And there's thousands of offshoots and different languages and all kinds of ologies and.
I burned my tongue. Go ahead.
Brick.
So, is there any all right, so you say study of God is important, you know, all this. Why is it so important what you think or what you know about God? Why is that so important?
The whole, purpose for all of our existence is, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole purpose.
To give God glory and enjoy Him forever?
No. To know Him.
Is that the chief end of man?
Oh, gosh.
Is it to know Him or give Him glory? What is it?
I think when you know God, you're going to give Him glory because you're going to find out who He is.
Touche.
Fair enough.
To pay UBB. I'm going to use as many phrases wrong as possible and hope Logan leads it. All right, so getting down to brass taxes. The brass flaxseed. All All right, so if you know him, you think it's to know God is like a super... Why is it so crucial to know God? Because what if I say, well, why do I need to even say there is a God? Why do I need to know him? Can't I just have a discussion, bro, on stage with my congregation? It's not a sermon, it's a discussion, and just talk about things in vague terms with an ambiguous haircut?
Yeah, does God need to be known?
God needs nothing.
Oh.
We need it. We need to know him. Because there's, by virtue of us being created by him in his world, according to his, and this world exists according to his power, it exists because he wants it to exist. We're living in his reality. This isn't our reality. He's at the center. So, any attempt at our movement to go away from him is, it's not just, you can't just think of it in like moral terms. You're bucking up against the way reality is built, the way reality is constructed. You live and move and have your being in God. So you don't even exist apart from him saying so. And, he's so good that even as, like we all once existed, living in complete rebellion against him, spitting in his face, even then he was granting us life. Not only that, but he was granting us families and friendships, all of these, graces that we didn't deserve, we didn't earn. So when you come to know who God is by virtue of, who he is, what he's done, what he is doing, nothing exists apart from him.
I heard a good quote from Lewis that said, too, when we go to the new heaven, new earth, that's the most human we become.
Right.
And actually to know God, the more we know him, the greater you will know yourself, because you know your purpose, you know what you're designed for.
Right.
I mean, because I'm trying to think of pragmatic, because someone might say, yeah, well, what's in it for me? I go, well...
Everything.
Yeah, you will know yourself. And even this, like, God doesn't need me to worship him.
No.
But he definitely deserves it. And his very nature, in my mind, demands glory just by virtue, even if he doesn't ask for it.
Right.
But I will say, if you really want to truly be human and truly as much of you as you can be, it's got to be found in the source, which is God. Like this, it's to say, well, let's have a hammer, but have no nail or nothing to use it against.
Right.
It'll still exist, but it is most itself when its correct function, purpose, need, reason is being used, where you go, that's what a hammer's for. And I feel like with God, we go, this is what I'm for. You're most yourself when you are in him, when you know him.
And it takes all of the pressure off of you to have to put on a front of any kind.
Yeah.
Because you're already accepted by the one being who everybody has to encounter. Everybody has to encounter him. And he's already stamped approval on you and said, I love you. Why? Because I want to. Because I chose to.
And all this is the reason that Ryan Smith voted for Bernie Sanders.
Terrible.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going.
How did you know?
I have actually a good parable. This is a Sean parable. I usually
cussing or slurs.
No.
Is it orthodox?
This is not orthodox.
Is it angrodox?
But it will become after tonight. It will be orthodox. So I usually use this in terms of like organizational health or what I'm doing at work, but I think this applies perfectly to the life of the human. Imagine a cartoon, and the main character of the cartoon is a pneumatic nail gun. You hook it up to a compressor and you go,
I'm interested. Continue.
And it's maybe got eyeballs or something and it can talk and it emotes and stuff like that. And you're like, this is interesting. I've seen weirder cartoons. So the nail gun though doesn't know what a nail is, doesn't know, what a building is, doesn't know what framing is, doesn't know what a compressor is. He has no idea what he is. He just knows what he's capable of, right? And so this nail gun goes through life for many years, knowing what he's capable of and applying those things functionally to his life.
Okay.
So he goes, I'm kind of heavy. I can lay on paper and the wind won't blow away the paper. And one day somebody says, no, man, your goal is to hammer nails into wood so that you can create cathedrals, beautiful buildings. And so the hammer goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And the hammer's forever changed from that moment. It like studies up on nails and how nails interact with wood and how nails are driven into wood. And it finally realizes its purpose to drive nails into wood. And it's this beautiful pneumatic air gun, but it never knew what it was. It never knew its potential. And so one day, him and a nail meet, and there's a piece of wood over there. And in this cartoon, wood is inanimate. It doesn't have feelings.
It's not Presbyterian or Baptist.
And so it says,
what denomination
hey,
it is.
Do you know your purpose? And the nail says, yeah, I just heard about my purpose, to be driven into wood. And he goes, and my purpose is to drive you into the wood. And they go, let's together do this on mission together as a community. And they go, and the pneumatic air gun, instead of hooking up to a compressor, just starts banging on this nail into the wood with the side of it. And the nail goes in the wood. The nail gun, he's happy. He thinks he did his job, and the nail thinks he did his job, but it's a mess. It's not the way it's supposed to be. And the pneumatic nail gun never knew its true purpose. But it was still able to do what it was created to do. But once that nail gun submits itself to be in the hands of the carpenter, the framer,
non-union,
it can actually be used the way it's correctly supposed to be used and make a wall, make a cathedral, make a church, make a castle, whatever it is supposed to be. But there's the knowledge of what it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to operate in the world, which I think we all kind of figure out at some time. But actually submitting ourselves to the hands of the Creator is actually the difficult part. And I think learning theology, I think learning theology is where you start to understand you're not just meant to drive nails into wood, you're meant to be used in the hand of your Creator.
And that nail gun grew up to be Doug Wilson.
That's right. How'd you know? That's where I was going.
You were describing him going, that's Doug.
I didn't even talk about his beard.
If the nail gun said, are you tracking with me? I would have thought it was Chandler. But nope, that last part I went, Doug. That's Doug all the way.
This is why Jesus spoke in parables, because people just get it.
Maybe that's Jesus was just messing with him. You ever think of that? He goes, it's like a seed. And Peter's like, that's so deep. He goes, you're such a try-hard, Peter. Shut up.
Get behind me.
Get behind me, you hipster butt. All right. You and I were jumped into the same crew. Saved by grace. We're learning theology, all this. I'm a pastor, which every day I wonder.
Astonishing.
What's my problem that I would even think this is something I'd want to do? Spurgeon, I think, said if you can do anything else, do it. Why, with how the world is, with how people are, how selfish, broken, how politically divided our country, why the heck would you want to become a pastor, Mike? What the heck is your problem? Sorry to use such sharp language, gosh dummit. Was it? What's the real phrase? It's like gam dummit or something, or gosh,
dang
gummit? Was it?
Dag nabbit?
Dag nabbit, that's it. Dag nabbit.
I heard Ligon. Is it Ligon or Ligon?
I think it's Ligon.
Ligon Dungy said like, dang gummit. He said something like that where I was like, you southern charm.
He's totally southern.
What was it? It was dang gummit.
Dadgum.
Dadgum. He said dadgum. All right. Sponsored by Mormonism and other lies. I meant to say something else. Gosh dang it. Yeah. But it's my stupid accent.
Freudian slip.
No, because it's my idolatry. Tim Keller's idolatry is looking for idolatry. So my dad with his freaking Dutch accent taught me how to talk. So now my A's, O's, and every other letter useful in this stupid language is butchered.
Your Dinglish made you sin.
My Dinglish. This is Angridoxy coming at you. Whatever. Why would you want to be a pastor? I've already disqualified myself. Who cares? I'm probably just a dream.
That's why it was your last week at Carson. Saying the G word.
It was my last week at Carson because they actually listened to one of my sermons and went, what is your problem?
Who is this dadgum guy?
Dadgum! Dadgum, dadgum, dadgum. Dang, damn it. Gosh, dang it.
You gotta pick
Sean, stop
I'm
laughing!
worried you're going to say it.
Do you want me to do my Chris Farley impersonation again?
Not again. Not like this.
Why, Mike? Why would you do this? Because seriously, you got to deal with people who go, I just feel like this church really isn't my fit. And you go, well, have fun in purgatory, you idolater. Like, so why would you want to be a pastor and write a book? Because you're writing a new book called Love Wins If You're a Christian. I'm so mad that I said that. I can do all things. Thank you very much.
Uncalled for.
Ugh.
Why do you want to be pastor?
This is Waterloo all over again.
Quit asking hard questions.
Do you even know why you want to do this? Because I get up and go, and just yell at myself in the mirror. I'm like, reformed. And I preach a sermon and yell at people for 40 minutes.
It's genuinely because I love God and His Word, and
do you love people?
I do.
Are you intentional? Because I'll echo that if you're intentional.
Oh gosh,
are you missional?
Are you gospel-centered?
Are you radical?
See, now I'm going to go on a tangent.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
The whole using gospel as like a tack-on adjective is it's very frustrating.
As a gospel Christian, I'm surprised you would say that.
I know, because there are non-gospel Christians, and then there are...
Every 20 days, there's a new gospel something book.
Oh,
and it's supposed to teach us something.
How to gospel the gospel is gospeling of gospel.
Yeah.
Are you a gospel pastor?
Ryan gospeling. Zig!
Well, have you had a gospel awakening yet? Actually, no.
I don't think I have.
Strike that from
I
the
want
record.
echo Sean striking.
I do have a question related to what Seth said that's maybe easier to answer.
Why is everyone cop out on my answers? I'm all, what about this? I don't answer.
I answered it.
This will answer your question.
Do you love people?
Was there a moment?
No, of course not. Are you kidding me? Have you met people?
You don't. How are you going to be a shepherd if you don't love the sheep?
They're terrible. Was there
I thought the whole thing was about tending sheep.
Was there a moment when you felt called to be a pastor? Was it immediately?
No.
I echo that.
Upon your conversion? Or was there a moment when you were like, I feel called to be a pastor?
No, it was over time. Like within the first month I got saved, I remember taking a Bible from Living Stones and just tearing it apart. Not literally, but
because that's a sin.
You gotta stop
I can't do that.
I lit it on fire. It was just getting into what does that actually mean? What does that actually say?
Right, yeah.
But then that developed into I love the whole process of caring for people. Yeah, it sucks a lot of the time. You got to get into people's messes, and but that's all right. I think the whole process, I enjoy being there with people and helping them awaken to the truth that God has revealed about Himself and about them. And I don't know. I really enjoy it.
It does sound like you're living your best life now. It really does.
I am.
So you got guys like Russell Moore. He's going, talking about evangelicalism and being an evangelical, the title. You got other people saying, I don't even want to be, call myself evangelical. Because I want to say we took a dump on our faith and religion in this country.
Verified.
Let me ask you this. When you look at the country, when you look at Christianity in America, because we can't speak for anywhere else, like China, they're having revival, South America, even in the Middle East, all these crazy things. But in America, that's our context. Are you hopeful? All right, evangelicals, we're going to see a more faithful gospel? Or do you think it's going to be more and more of worshiping, just off the top of my head, worshiping a multicolored flag and a nation and and a country and politics? I mean, is it going to be more of what we're seeing and we're just going to double down? Or are you hopeful that we're going to have a faithful, meaningful gospel focused not on power or obtaining the right politician or a nation or, some fake cultural war? What do you think? Are you hopeful, pessimistic? Because I know you're A-mill, which...
Then you already know the answer. We're all going to suffer.
Is the answer Sam Storms? Is that the answer? I was wondering if that was the answer.
I defer to Mr. Storms.
He's a cool dude, from what I see.
Yeah, he is.
He's an interesting dude.
Oh my goodness.
I'm listening.
You see what I have to put up with?
All right. 25 years I've dealt with Sean's crap, all right? 25 years.
That's a long time, Sean.
I've never rubbed my beard in your business.
Have you really not?
It is. Actually, that's
You did punch me into a garage door and almost break my neck on a hill.
Here's the thing.
Totally different.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think the church in America God is faithful to his people. And so we don't have to worry about how much power we have or don't have or what it looks like to the rest of the world. I think when we try to gauge the condition of the church by the people being interviewed or by whatever else, we're doing it wrong. I think even through the tumultuous years that maybe you're referring to, when there is, and there still is, idolatry of politicians or government or systems or education, I think when you get down to it, my opinion is Jesus has always been faithful to his church. The church, the true church has always been doing what it's supposed to do. Does God need to come in and correct his people? And yeah, absolutely. But I'm hopeful not in the church, but in God. He's going to do whatever he's going to do. And
that's an anti-orthodox position that I appreciate.
So Barack Obama was not the Antichrist. He was not the beast, because I was told.
I didn't say that.
I also heard, though, I heard you pick up on a little bit that the church is... We can count on God rescuing his church.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean the church isn't going to suffer in any way.
Right.
Or the individuals of the church, I guess I should say.
I always... Golden era? Oh.
Are you getting... that's an all-mill position that you're...
No, it's not. I define what it is. Yes, no, I agree.
Sean was referring to the golden era
I'm
where
so
everything's
close to
fine.
all-mill, but I'm just not there yet.
You just got to read the Bible more, and you'll get there.
We'll see.
Yeah, God is going to be faithful to his people, but show me anywhere in Scripture where he says everything's going to be all right.
Right.
And I think one of the most helpful ways this has ever been put to me was by one of my professors. He said there's two different paradigms that you can approach Christianity in America. You can go for the exile paradigm, or you can go through the Exodus paradigm. So the Exodus paradigm is we're going to get this land. We're going to get back to the promised land. We're going to go to the promised land. We're going to get things going again. We're going to be in power. We're going to have everything that we need in this promised land. And that's not what God has called the church to. God has called the church to an exile paradigm where we are the minority, and yet we are still acting like Christ to the people around us. We're trying to bless them. We're trying to do good for them, not because they deserve it, but because God's called us to do that. So we aren't at home here. America is not our home. It never has been, and it never will be. And we need to stop thinking that we are the savior of the world, and instead just point people to the savior, John the Baptist. Mm-hmm. We must decrease and he must increase.
Sean, Mike, question. Russell Moore's statement was, and it wasn't popular, He said the Bible doesn't need a belt. And he says we are to be a prophetic minority, not a moral majority.
Absolutely.
Yeah, word up.
Why do people hate him? I love that guy. And people are like, oh, he likes black people. Well, yeah, he's not racist like
people
you
fight
turd.
for their comfort. And I think that's what this is about.
They tried to fire him, dude. It's like...
It's a promised land?
That's a promised land paradigm. Yeah.
And I do feel like, I mean, I understand where people are coming from. We are currently in a wilderness and undergoing suffering and difficulty and stuff like that, but God is leading us through. And one day we will be in a promised land.
And we need to stop thinking that it's going to happen
on earth.
Yeah.
Or on this earth.
In this earth as it currently is.
Exactly.
We are awaiting a new creation.
Attaboy.
So exile.
Alcorn would be proud.
Exile, question. You're talking about like Babylonian exile.
Yeah.
Where
Jews, God himself put his people through suffering.
Through discomfort. Yeah.
Right.
Remove their comfort,
right.
as a matter of fact. But still ask them to participate in that state of discomfort with all of the fellow Babylonians and whatever else. Yeah. Right. I think that's a great statement.
When they were in exile in Babylon and they had to vote, who was the lesser of the two evils? That's why I always wonder. I'm like...
That's the thing. They had 4 parties.
They're like, well, this guy's the Republican, like... He only sacrifices babies every now and then this guy worships Draco, which is clearly the socialist. So I was just wondering who they vote for as the lesser of two evils in the Roman culture and the Babylonian culture, since that's clearly universal, since American Christians are the center of the universe. So,
do you think maybe they didn't vote?
Sean, what? When the Bible says honor authority, it clearly means participate and affirm the system that's in place, because that's the translation that idolaters use. Go ahead.
I just am curious.
Ryan Smith.
In that exile mentality, is it your responsibility to vote?
No.
I love
Sean has been waiting for this moment for so long.
My whole life.
He's been waiting for the longest time. For the longest time. Ryan Smith. I want to have Ryan back on. No. All right. All jokes aside, I love Ryan Smith. Like he is one of my favorite people. Gavin Jarvis, who is our one Hobbit representative. I love him. Yep. The Shire, I mean, is mainly pre-mill, but
I have a question for you.
Why are we even here? What?
Mike. So you have arrived at an amillennialist position based on your studies and, like you said, your very stark and rigid transformation once you became a Christian.
Intriguing.
So, I'll honestly be as honest as possible.
Oh no.
And I know most amillennialists are not honest, so this will be hard. So,
wow.
So tell me, did you arrive at that conclusion purely based on scriptural study, or were there outside influences that helped you to
like
arrive
the Holy
at
Spirit?
Amillennialism? Okay.
He zigged when you thought he was going to zag.
I'll say deity or scriptural influences. How about that? I'm honestly curious because a lot of people, it seems like in America, at least, everybody starts pre, goes to awe, and then if they still have some kind of discontent in them, they end up post. I
went the opposite.
I know. I understand that.
I was like, go on the record.
You're a pariah.
Yeah, you did go the other way.
Yeah.
It's honest. Read 1 Corinthians 15.
No.
And now.
Dang it.
15.
It says that when Jesus comes back, that's the death of death.
Mine says it's blocked for explicit content. Why are we even here? What's the point? What was the passage
here's what I'm curious about.
Here's one of the main reasons.
Did you arrive at allegorical interpretation.
Oh my goodness!
Certain things.
Where Scripture calls for it, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you determine let's say the first time you read this, or the first time you tried to figure out a construct for this? How did you determine what was allegorical and what wasn't?
Oh my goodness! By reading guys smarter than me.
So not Scripture, though, right?
Oh my goodness!
You're saying external to Scripture. I'm just curious. I just want to know.
Well, this gets back to your unorthodox hatred of orthodoxy. True. How did I arrive at determining what was allegorical?
Was it from outside influence, which it sounds like it was from books?
What did you use, Mike? Was it logic?
Yeah.
Like that Jesus doesn't carry around a giant key?
Reasoning. Yeah, there we go. And Satan's not going to literally be bound up with a physical chain.
How do you know that?
Because the text...
Home Depot doesn't have chains like that, Sean.
Yeah, God chain can do it. And he can have a big key. Who are you to say he can't have a big key?
He doesn't want one.
To say to the potter that you can't have a big key.
Keys are gaudy and pompous, and it's just what I would think would come from someone like you who is a hater of orthodoxy. I say good day.
So
you'd have to
tear his shirt.
Are you guys saying there's no literal dragon?
No.
Oh, there's dragons, just not Satan. I'm talking about...
Satan's not a dragon.
Oh, I believe in dragons, too.
Yeah, just not Satan. Satan's not a literal dragon.
No, not in Revelation. He's clearly he's using images.
He disguised himself as an angel of light.
You have to read Revelation chronologically.
Whatever.
If you want to be a premillennialist. And that's not how John intended it to be read, because that's not... Is that okay?
All right, Mike. And I'm asking you this as multiple PhD of theology.
You have those, or I do?
Oh, I ain't got jack. I don't even know why they let me talk. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Whoa.
We are betrayed.
Whoa.
I know. I thought he
saw this coming.
I would have thought he was a pie guy. David Beck is so pumped right now.
Oh my goodness.
And people are going, who's David Beck? I'm not going to explain. You should listen regardless, you heretics.
Now that's because
it's got to be, like what do they call it? Confetti birthday cake, the white cake that has the sprinkles in it.
Oh, garbage.
Funfetti.
Yeah.
Funfetti.
Garbage. Yeah.
I misheard you, Seth. I thought
Little
you said
known
garbage.
fact, it was actually Pope Gregory II who started funfetti cake.
Well, then I changed my answer to pie.
Justin Martyr was like, hey, I like how they cut into the pie, just like how they stab into my flesh. It's the same. That's why I like pie. It reminds me of my brutal murder. They make the little X creases to let the steam out. They let Justin Martyr's blood out with the little creases.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's dead. Oh, he has to forgive me. His name is Martyr. Big crybaby, Justin Martyr.
Get over it.
Dead. You know what? I had
Look at Seth being unorthodox here. That's not me. I'm not saying that.
No, hold on. Justin Martyr wants to cry about being martyred. I had a splinter under my nail for 2 days. I know. I've dealt with this. I had to go without Wi-Fi for 5 days. All right. I was in a refugee camp where all I got to do was eat delicious food and play soccer. I know about suffering. Ryan Smith, I would never affirm or commission an elder who I wouldn't trust to preach or teach my family about the gospel. I would trust Ryan with that, and I would trust you, Mike.
Thank you.
So I would commission you guys right now. And I think when this whole thing is settled, we should get an apartment. And Sean,
I agree.
I would have commissioned Sean, but he didn't want to be because out of conviction and I believe wisdom, he decided, no, I don't want to be elder. But I would trust any of you three to lead my family, just like I would trust Facing Your Giants, number 4. When you want to lead your family in wholesome VHS, because I think it's
I
VHS.
agree. I would, I want to say the same thing.
I trust Ryan Smith. I like the dude. I really do.
In honor to Ryan and
MacArthur, I'm
Mike,
coming for you.
If I had the full authority of a church, I would commission you to plan a church, right?
See,
he does believe in church authority.
I do.
Oh, why? Why are you guys
Local
like
church
this?
authority. And here's what I want to say. Like, there's been times when, like, I actually felt really disconnected from, let's say, the church or from community. People that I thought were loyal to me maybe betrayed me, or there's been times when I felt like I was not welcome in a culture that's supposed to be more welcoming than anything. And then I got this text that said, God is not dead. I knew, that everything was the way
that
it
you
was
had
supposed
to go argue with your college professor, Kevin Sorbo, about, is that Dean Cain? Dean Cain?
No,
Yeah.
it's Kevin
He was in
Sorbo.
that.
No,
Dean Cain
was in that for sure.
He was.
Was he?
Yeah.
And I want to be like, is that Dean Cain?
He was like the rich guy.
Oh, I do remember that.
He's
yeah.
like, I defy God.
No, Dean Cain
because of
was-
generic excuses.
Dean
Was that the
Cain
rich guy?
was, I like the
Superman?
fact that
Yes, he
these
was.
guys are, I'm going to side with Shay. I like the fact that these guys are like, hey, we want to submit our careers to this Christian ethic. I just wish they would do it in a more winsome way than
Dude, that's
Christian-directed movies.
that movie is a revenge flick.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's strange because what college professor is actually that much of like an anti-Christian? I understand that college professors, many of them in secular colleges, like want people to get past their small-minded.
Get over
religious
your
views
Christianity, Sean.
so that you can go for. But what? I've never met a professor that was like, "Oh, this guy thinks God is alive. What an idiot!"
This
I've never
this
noticed
is
that
my
before in
this
my
is
life.
my only. Other than this, I think the movies are fantastic. This is my only gripe is that the movies are garbage and crap. Other than that, I have no gripe with.
Yeah,
the
the direction is poor. The music is poor. The acting
plot-
is poor. The plot is really bad. The writing is bad.
cinematography.
The cinematography is awful, and the editing is really bad. But other than that, they're actually pretty good movies.
The rest is great. The rest is phenomenal. Like there was a moment where Kevin Sorbo just breathed and didn't do anything. I was like, "Hey, you can breathe. Good, good for you." I was like, that he did, like the director's like, just stare and pretend you're a bad actor. He did. I was like, nailed it. I echoed that acting.
Wait, can I ask you guys something?
Oh, gosh.
Literally, this will be the last thing because we got to wrap it up. What is a movie that has, to you, been on a transcendent level more than any other movie? So, like, a lot of people will say God is not dead. Obviously, that's a winner.
It's God's not dead.
Oh, sorry.
There's no I.
Sorry.
It's an
That's a
apostrophe.
very good
It's
point.
polytheism.
There's no I in.
God's not dead.
Zeus isn't alive.
That's right. Don't count him out. You haven't seen him for a while. Okay. So what is the movie that, and I'm saying this because I just watched Heat because it just came on to Netflix.
Dude, such a good movie.
And it's such a good movie.
The
So
shooting
overacted.
is so
but it's
beautiful.
great.
not transcendent at all.
The guns and
I'm not
shooting.
sure what that
that's
is.
how you shoot cops. Sorry,
Sometimes
continue.
the end of that
Dude.
movie is a little transcendent, but not in the way
Dude,
that
that
other
movie
movies
is
are.
amazing.
It's so
That's
good.
one of my favorite movies.
It's so good. Hooah! That's a different movie. But anyways, what is a movie that like you're like, oh man, I'm in a desert in my faith. I'm in a valley. I need to watch this movie to pick me up. What's a movie that does that for you
it
guys?
affects our faith.
I've never gone to a movie.
That doesn't affect your faith, but that is in something that puts you into a great...
Lifts you up as a human.
Yeah, it makes you feel
Dude.
like you can
I'll
approach
answer
God.
first. My name's Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
No, you go ahead.
Dang it. All right. So, this is so hard. All right. So there's.
Does it have to be
It
recent?
has to be one.
No, absolutely
Just
not.
one movie.
Top 5, I don't know.
All right.
This is going to
Trying
be...
to
You
end
are
it.
waffling on
This
this.
is going to take
waffles.
so
That's
long.
What you're doing. All right. Hold on.
First one that comes to your mind. How
A
about
little
that?
cathartic is Good Will Hunting for me. A little cathartic, just because my life is a dumpster fire sometimes in the past.
Interesting.
Another movie.
Hey, it's not your fault, Seth.
Don't you
It's
do
not
this
your
to
fault.
me, man. Don't
I
mess
want
with
you
me.
to know it's not your
You
fault.
He's dead. Are you showing any reference?
You're right.
Like
Rest in
I
peace.
already. All right. So Good Will Hunting. If I want to get amped up, I watch Glory or Braveheart. Cause these movies where you watch them and there's a part of you that waits for like that moment. All right. This is going to sound it might sound cliche. Tombstone.
I almost said Tombstone.
When, all right. So this is,
as a guess.
Gosh. And so many,
I'm your Huckleberry.
So
right.
They look at Doc Holliday and he's coughing up and they go, you're dying. You ought to be in bed. And Doc Holliday says, well, Wyatt Earp's my friend.
Yeah.
And they're like, I got lots of friends. He's like, I don't. And then and this speaks to me in the past, he goes, talk about Johnny Ringo. He goes, he can never kill enough, steal enough. He's got this hole inside of him. And he says, well, what does he want? He says, revenge. And he's like, for what? For being born. Yeah. And I can watch those. I pause for those statements. I tell all my family be quiet and rebuke them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hold on. Because there are those movies where you have to watch it. I would say another one is The Dark Knight during the interrogation scene with the Joker. Because he lays it out so much of, all right, if you watch the cinematography and the director, just how he sets it up, it's beautiful. So Commissioner Gordon is in the light. And Joker's in the dark. And they're constantly pushing back. That Gordon is asking questions, trying to find people to save them. And Joker's dismantling his worldview. And then when the light goes on, here's the interesting thing I find funny. When Batman slams his head, the light's flickering. Almost like it's not completely light. Batman's side isn't completely light. It's just not the shade of darkness Joker is. And what does Joker say? You'll have to break the one rule you have to stop me. He says all this power and you have nothing to stop me. Nothing. And here's the thing, people who think they understand that movie will just quote lines of like, well, he's this because he said he's this. It's like saying, well, this guy's angry because he said he's angry. He represents so much more when you get into different philosophies of like chaotic good, chaotic neutral, all this stuff. And Batman it gets into questions of, do the ends justify the means? Is that even biblical? Do you go to whatever mean, as long as it's a good end? Is there a lesser evil or is all evil? Is there a good lie? So those are movies. So Dark Knight, Tombstone, Braveheart and Glory when he says, give him hell 54. I love it. Good Will Hunting just because I love the idea of a wounded man who finds healing. That broken person like that who's been abused can be redeemed. And even to a different degree, all right, this is my last one, Road to Perdition.
Oh, yeah.
I think is
so good.
I think it has beauty to it, and I think if you discount movies because they're not strictly about Kevin Sorbo, you're missing out on stuff. So that's it. Mike, what about you?
So good. Road to Perdition is definitely one.
I love it.
Arrival is definitely a...
that was a good movie.
That
was great.
Yeah. And there's even very intentional, transcendent biblical themes placed in there. But Road to Perdition definitely is one of them. I love that scene that you're talking about in Tombstone. I think any movie that... not any movie, but there's been a lot of movies where the main character or a side character, whoever, displays, visually, physically displays this active, sacrificial friendship. Those things, that always gets to me. And I can't remember which Marvel movie it is, but there's a scene where Captain America just lets the Winter Soldier beat him.
I'm with you to end the line.
Yeah, he refuses to fight back.
Yeah.
Just gets beat, and that's Christ-likeness right there. And I love that scene. I think a movie that is like kind of transcendent but utterly hopeless that I absolutely love is Taxi Driver, and it speaks to like this weird loneliness that I used to experience when I was in the hardcore scene and everything. But Arrival is definitely... I love the movie Interstellar, but I feel like Christopher Nolan he purposely and intentionally tried to make it feel so transcendent with like the organ music, with like all of these hints that almost sound like otherworldly, but then it turns out that humanity is like its own hero, and I hated it. So I go through I love that movie. I'll watch it again and again and again, but you get to the end and it's like, oh, we are our own heroes. We'll figure it all out. And for that reason, I'm like, I can't get behind this.
Did you like Fight Club at all?
No, not really.
I only liked aspects of it that it did break down the pointlessness of
the
materialism.
nihilism and everything.
Return of the King. All right, Return of the King. Here's one
Yeah.
part I like. All right, this is going to sound so... I don't care. Sam and Frodo are on the mountain, and Frodo's like, I can't keep going. And he's like, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you. And Sam picks up Frodo and walks, and he's burnt, and he's scarred, and he's dirty. But
one
this
of the best parts.
tiny little Gavin picks up Frodo and walks up the hill.
Dude, another good one is Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood.
Dude!
I utterly love that movie.
Beautiful.
And there's a scene right at the end where I'm just going to ruin it. It's an old movie. You should have seen it by now.
It's a long time.
So he's got the bad guy down on the ground, and the guy is like, he says this weird line. He says, I was building a house. I didn't deserve this. And Clint Eastwood's response is, deserves got nothing to do with it. And he kills him. It's like it's a perfect weird picture of the gospel in a weird way, because deserves got nothing to do with it. Like,
a younger guy earlier in the film says they got it coming. He goes, we all got it coming.
That's right.
Yeah,
so good.
What about Sean? I want to hear Sean. What about you, man? What are the movies?
Oh gosh.
And they can't be any of the ones we listed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love all the movies that you guys listed.
Oh, you.
But I've had super transcendent experiences watching like The Neverending Story.
Oh, that's
I just thought it was so
one.
good.
Don't like it.
And
Really? Oh!
it insists upon itself, right?
Insists upon itself. Well, you know what? It should insist upon itself.
I thought there were parts in that movie that I shouldn't have seen when I was 5 years
horse.
old. Yeah, the horse dies, but also
Oh,
just
I
like,
have bipolar and depression. I'm dying in a swamp. That's life.
He like has to face who he really is. Like he's in the snowy part and he looks in the mirror. And the other guy's saying, he goes, this is the worst trial. He has to actually face himself. And I was just like, ugh. The Iron Giant obviously brings me to tears every time.
Dude, what about Fox and the Hound?
Oh, The Fox and the Hound was brutal.
I despise that movie.
Iron Giant. Superman.
The Iron Giant, a creature that was programmed, a creature that has no free will, chooses to have free will to save people.
It's like me.
Oh, it's great.
When I got saved.
Yeah, right?
I
thought it was so good. Yeah, you chose your salvation.
Or was it the robots programming from beforehand?
He broke. No, because he was like a weapon, but he broke out of that.
Someone had to have made
because
him
he saw something greater.
He liked pie.
He saw some great. Yeah, he did love pie.
So Iron Giant, Neverending Story. Do you like Tombstone at all, Sean?
I love Tombstone.
Have we known each other long enough?
You know what my most favorite
for you to call me Cornelius
movie is that for some reason is transcendent.
What?
You already know this, and I know it's weird, and I'm not suggesting that anybody watch this. But Train Spotting hits me like right in the feels.
Fifth Element.
I've never seen Train Spotting.
I'm not saying you should watch it. You shouldn't watch it.
Hold on. They shouldn't watch it, but Train Spotting does say something about the core of man.
Dude,
it's
that he loves heroin.
Yes, exactly.
Didn't that dude direct 28 Days Later too?
Yes.
That's a really good movie.
Danny Boyle
He's a good
is the director. He's fantastic. He's done some good stuff.
Brilliant name? Danny Boyle.
Yeah, Danny Boyle. I think it's African.
Salvador?
He directed a lot of great films.
Yeah, he's good.
I haven't disliked
that is the
widest
name, Boyle.
Yeah.
I'm like, those are the people who look at the moon and get sunburned. That's like me.
I will even say on our sister podcast, I guess, Pizza Fortress.
Yeah,
they said that
Fortress.
T2, Trainspotting 2 was not a good movie. I loved it. And for some reason I loved it. I'm not suggesting this to anybody, especially if you're a Christian and you like Kevin Sorbo movies. Please don't watch Trainspotting. I'm
Just
not
watch
suggesting
Facing
it.
Your Giants or
Yeah,
something.
but there's something about it
or Courageous
that
9.
I think just like forces me to seek God.
Book of Eli is a good Christian film.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He
you know what's
says the
great?
word God. I will say, it's the best horror / fiction film I've seen. Have you guys seen The Shack?
No.
Dude.
Did they make a movie?
It takes a real book, the Bible, and makes a fictional telling of it. It's so crazy.
Oh,
The way he ruins everything, it's so crazy.
Frailty. Do you remember Frailty?
Frailty was a great film.
Who was in Frailty?
Oh, only
I
the
don't
greatest
remember.
actor ever.
Who was it?
Chet.
Yeah! Departed. I like Departed.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
Departed was
movie.
good.
I
How
like
about No Country for Old Men?
Dude.
Yeah, I remember we saw that in the
that
theater.
has meaning at the end.
Yeah.
All the,
Yeah.
All these people, Seth and I saw that in the theater. All these people
I loved
walked
it.
out because they were like, I don't understand it. And they
Yeah.
were really frustrated by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away.
Yeah, it was
I love
great.
Shaq won best adaptation of a nonfiction book, I believe.
Where did it win that?
Interesting.
Hell. I think it was Hell. No Country for Old Men. What was it? It's a story Tommy Lee Jones tells at the end. He goes,
Yeah.
I had this
Love it.
dream. He's like going, and all these people are going on beyond me. And even his dad or whatever, or the older guy in the wheelchair says, this isn't new. That's vanity. He
Right.
goes, this is
Yeah.
this is already happened. I was like, yes!
All right. Well, that wraps up Tales from the Ditch.
So send all your complaints to Sean from talesfromtheditch@gmail.com. Watch good movies? I don't know.
Mike, do you have anything you want to say?
What are you
No.
doing here, Mike? I question our existence. Zip it up!
Zip it out.
Yeah.